Just feel like low key, not even low key, actually high key, policing other queer people's identities and bodies as another queer person is diabolical. Like, if tomorrow I decide that I actually am not feeling these nose rings anymore, is it not so unfair for someone to say, like, this is not the time to take them out, girl? Like, we're in a war, like we're fighting against conservatism. So whether you like the way they look on you or not anymore, as Ngenindao, you can't take them off right now. I was having a conversation with my friend a few days ago, and in the chilo, but by the time I switch on this camera, I will have forgotten how to word this. But I'm gonna try. I've just been observing this conversation around Mogirl's appearance, which I just think in and of itself is annoying. Imagine the whole internet scrutinizing your identity, like how you are choosing to identify at any given moment. But I digress. Unfortunately, I did have to say that that's where this thought is coming from. Basically, what I was saying to my friend is, but the problem with the queer community as we're progressing, we as the queer community are becoming too obsessed with labels. The reason people love to label is because they want to put people in boxes, which means they want to know how to treat you. That's the main reason that people want to label people, is because they want to know, upper hierarchy, am I superior or am I inferior? And these hierarchies also exist in marginalized communities like queer communities, right? Because if you're feminine presenting and there's someone who's masculine presenting in the community, if they subscribe to that paternalistic, authoritarian, patriarchal, hierarchical structure or way of thinking, they're going to think that they're superior than the feminine presenting people in the community. That's just how it goes, right? So that's the first reason that I feel like most people are just so, I want to know what's going on today. Like, I want to know, why did you change the way you dress? Like, because they want to know, Baba, for no place up, right? So that's the first reason I don't like this conversation or way it's hated. Secondly, I just feel like low key, not even low key, actually high key, policing other queer people's identities and bodies as another queer person is diabolical. Like, I see that it's also, a lot of feminine presenting men, trans women that are disappointed because they could see themselves in Mogirl's, which there's nothing wrong with seeing yourself in someone, but also you don't have a right to this person's identity because you thought you identified with them. We're all allowed to change the way we want to identify. Now, whether it's politically motivated, like, that's a whole different conversation, right? But we can't sit here and decide for them that that's what it is. Queer bodies are political already just by existing. So I feel like asking for somebody to also now give you their identity and make it political and commit to a certain look or whatever for the sake of the political position that we're in right now, which is the rise in conservatism and fascism, or rather the return. Okay, let me actually stop saying rise and say the return to that. I just think is so unfair because, like with Magatini, basically what is being said is, this is not the time. This is not the time for you to dress in a socially acceptable way. Like, and I think that's really unfair because, yes, we're going through a weird time politically, and this really is the time for those of us who want to stand 10 toes down and say, I love my piercings down. I'm not going to take them out because now, it's crunch time. It's time to really stand your ground and be like, I'm not going to give up my identity for you, for conservatism, for whatever political situation that we're in right now, right? But that's my choice. But at the same time, if tomorrow I decide that I actually am not feeling these nose rings anymore, is it not so unfair for someone to say, like, this is not the time to take them out, girl? Like, we're in a war, like we're fighting against conservatism. So whether you like the way they look on you or not anymore, as Ngenindao, you can't take them off right now. That's what it sounds like, and I think that's crazy. Guys, of course there are caveats, nuances, discretion, like all of the things, when you're discussing something like this. I just don't feel like I need to say that in every video because in 99% of the things that I discuss, there's nuance here, caveats, because we're discussing human beings. Human beings are the most complex things to exist, it could very well be that the reason I suddenly want to take my nose rings off is because of the influence and the weight of conservatism and everybody around me becoming that. Just being like, damn, I don't see anybody that looks like me anymore. Like, damn, and even that, one could say you have a social responsibility then as somebody who is in the sphere to kind of interrogate yourself very deeply. Why do I suddenly want to take these nose rings off? And but that's a social responsibility that I chose to take on, being in this field. I'm saying that being queer is political already. So I think expecting people to give their entire lives away to strictly being a political canvas is very sinister, especially considering that the people that we're discussing are amongst the least politically protected. Yeah, I think we need to be careful as the queer community and the way in which we are having these conversations. There's nothing wrong with conversations being had. I just always will say it's the way that the conversations are being had, because it's very easy to lose it, hey? It's very easy. It's the same thing that I always say about the labels. Either we're going to have 20,000 labels because we want every single person to fit in a box, whereas we can just let people be. You guys have no idea. Have you ever seen somebody try to say they are non-labeling to a group of queer people who will be like, oh, so you're pansexual? No, nigga, they said they're non-labeling. Oh, so then are you asexual? Like, nigga, andibhudanga, do you understand? So I just think it's a case of izinto ezinjalo, and also now we want to have control over people and how they identify, because it directly affects us and how we identify, because we got the strength to identify the way we do because we saw that person do it. No, uyenzile indawo yakhe. They inspired you, ugqibile. Like, they don't owe you now being that way forever because you found them. The last thing I wanted to say is I also think there's this equal expectation of people in marginalized groups specifically, but more so the queer community, to not be human beings. Just even succumbing to human emotions. Like, we have a whole, term for pick-me women who are succumbing to the feeling of being desired by men, right? And some of them aren't even at that level of pick-meism, where it's like, hey, dude, you're actually doing too much. Some of them are just going back to church because they want to get married. And the times that we're in now are saying, because we're back in conservative times, right? I just feel like there's no space for queer people to do that. I'm definitely not saying that we should condone it or whatever, but I just think queer people don't get to have that space. Like, even in lesbian relationships is what I've noticed. Like, women in heterosexual relationships, they can like go back to a nigga like 20 million times. You as a queer woman go back to your lady twice, you are so beyond dumb, like, because the treatment is not the same. That's what I wanted to say, is that I'm 100% not saying that it's okay for people to put their politics to the side just so that they can get a man or whatever. I'm just saying that I find treatment. I wonder why.